How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lo4f, and today I'm going to go on to a contract called Reduce and Reuse. It's part, I believe, of the top contracts. I'm on the Heartlands map for this one, and yeah, it's not too far from the garage, although you've got to visit the hayloft, and once you get there, it reveals the locations of like 4 different pieces of garbage that are scattered across the map, and then you've got to deliver them there to the scrapyard. And I remember doing it a little while back on the live stream, so I knew roughly. It's kind of like a big square almost in the middle of the map, but I'll when I get there, yeah, I'll sort of make it a little bit easier to see what's going on. So for this one, like I say, each piece of garbage is 2 cargo slots, so you need 8 slots of cargo in total. I really didn't fancy taking an 8-slot trailer, so what I've decided to do is, because you're going to need a crane as well, the crane, sideboard and the ramped flatbed, and then yeah, I'm just going to kind of stack 2 lots of garbage. I'm not used to saying that word, I don't know what we'd call it here. Pieces of shit scattered around the map. Yeah, just to like I say, the 8-slot trailer. To be honest, you sort of fairly limited. I was going through various different vehicles. The stuff like the Club is not bad for taking an 8-slot trailer. It sits nice and tall, it's got plenty of torque to the vehicle and all the rest of it, and you've got the raised suspension these days as well, so you can make the vehicle sit a little bit higher, but yeah, that can't have a crane. And then just loads of various other vehicles. I was considering the P16, but you can't have a crane on that. The Azov Antarctic, I don't even think you could have a saddle high or low on that, which that does sit very high. That's possibly why they have, but yeah, so there's quite a lot of trucks that were kind of ruled out in the first place, which would theoretically suit the 8-slot trailer if I was going to take one. And then yeah, as I was flicking through, I decided to just run this setup. The Bruce, you can have the crane and sideboard and the trailer. It's like the magic trio of attachments. Just before I kind of got the footage for this, I took, funnily enough, it's a Derry 4520, which I don't use too often. I was kind of going for a little test run, but I was sort of planning on using Bruce by this point anyway. Just quickly drove the Derry up to the trailer store to grab a trailer. I kind of wanted to, yeah, set off from the garage already like fully equipped and not have to just keep doing like the first part of the mission and going to the trailer store. So yeah, got that sorted, and then now slowly wiggle my way along the roads. I was part of the reason I took Bruce in the end, other than the fact that it can have crane, sideboard and trailer and all that. I knew I could fit a loaf on top. It's goddamn professional. But also I was just curious because the Bruce obviously has got a big fat chin, and it sort of sits low, but then they've added the active suspension, so you can actually lift it up a little bit. And yeah, I just kind of thought we'll see how it goes, really. How bad if the chin kind of makes a bit of a difference, which it depends on the map and which routes you go. For the most part, I'm kind of sticking to the roads, I suppose, on this mission. And this map isn't too brutal. I think there's various maps like the Institute map, and probably various parts on like the Crossroads map and stuff, where if you just kind of draw a line across the countryside and start driving, you soon hit like, yeah, big gouges and dips in the map and stuff, which probably ain't gonna suit Bruce too well. But apart from that, obviously it's a solid vehicle, plenty of power, plenty of tyres for grip, and plus yeah, it was nice that it was one of the ones I could pop the loaf on the roof, and I've still got the sideboard and the trailer spare. I nearly put the loaf in the sideboard for the first part, because obviously as I'm going around collecting the various bits of garbage, I'm not going to kind of need the room until near the end, but he fits. That's what she said. So yeah, it worked out pretty nicely. Got his old navigator's seat. So like I say, for the first part, it's not too difficult to get over to this hayloft thing. But yeah, once you get there, there's not actually any cargo going on there. Although the first bit of cargo is pretty much kind of probably to my right now, just a little bit further over, but it's pretty close. And then the other ones, yeah, they're kind of in awkward places. I don't know, I suppose you could do this mission with 2 vehicles. I was even considering that. By the way, now my cat appeared right on time, hence why I wasn't even looking, completely overturned that corner and ended up going the other way around that telegraph pole. Yeah, I did nearly consider, shall I just take like a truck and I could take a ramped flatbed and then tow something like a twin steer behind me, that and just use that as like a a cargo platform really, which I'd certainly say it's doable as well. I don't think it would have gone too badly. Certainly be a way of saving having to go to the trailer store and get a trailer, which obviously I've kind of skipped out in this video. So yeah, the first piece of garbage is there, which is pretty simple. The second one's like right over on the far right hand side of the map, and then I'm going to kind of cut along under the river because you don't actually have to cross it. Get the third one, and then the fourth one's on this little island, and then go down that road, which is a pretty crappy rough road, and yeah, drop it all off at the scrapyard. And then the rewards for doing this mission, it says access to location and then a warehouse. I'm not 100% sure, but I've got a feeling like the access to location is the scrapyard that then is also the warehouse. And you end up unlocking vehicle spare parts is the only thing you can get from the scrapyard. I can't remember off the top of my head which missions need that, but I'm assuming there's going to be something coming along sooner or later because yeah, there's been quite a few missions in the past I've been scrolling through that it's not been too clear on where the materials are, so hopefully that's one. And yeah, as you can see, they're 2 slot pieces of cargo. Thankfully not that heavy. I've got to say this, the blue crane, just the little cranes in general, they felt extra disappointing for this last week or so. There was a little time when they first added this phase. I'm pretty sure they kind of improved the cranes for sort of a week or two, and then I don't know, it all sort of seemed went back to normal, and then now, yeah, if that. It's too late. Switching to the interior view for running over the crops. He made it in time for the sunflowers though. Bruce sits low enough. It's still enjoyable running them over. The old Superwank's bed in the back. Squeeze through the trees, and yeah, kind of. This is probably one section where I do sort of just cut along the field. But to be fair, I suppose because this map is quite a lot of fields, it's not too crazy in terms of bumps going up and down, and yeah, so I didn't dig the chin in too much, at least for this part anyway. And I've done a little bit of editing here and there to shorten the video a little bit, but it's only little things like my PlayStation remote again is just being a dick. It's not letting me press down on the D-pad, so I've edited a few bits out where I'm kind of stuck trying to mash that button to scroll down the menu. It's a pain in the arse as well because it won't let me use, like, you can't scroll down the menu by just pressing down on the left analog stick. You can on various other things, like if I go to save the footage it all works like that, but it won't let me do it on the actual game, so without the down button on the D-pad it kind of screws me over quite a lot. And yeah, overall, I mean, this whole video is like 32 minutes, so it's not too bad really. It's kind of better than I thought. I was sort of thinking, oh, I hope it doesn't go on for like 40 or 50 minutes, but and then that's another thing, like looking at other vehicles, sort of possibly taking one with a high range gearbox. It doesn't really, you don't feel the slowness too much, except for like now, which I'm in 5th gear out of 5, and yeah, this is kind of where the advanced special feels like it really does need some kind of yeah, just highway gear, but not just the high range gear, like something faster than that. But as I've been cutting like down rough roads and kind of all that for most of this mission, yeah, the pace of this vehicle is not that bad. Because Bruce has got plenty of power and the wheels to put all the power down and all the rest of it, you tend not to wheel spin too much and get bogged down. Like I said, I suppose if anything, yeah, you're going to catch your chin before you kind of just start getting stuck and wheel spinning in the ground, so yeah, overall it kind of not too bad. What, we're only not even 10 minutes in, I've already got the first one, which to be fair was pretty bloody easy. This second one's probably one of the awkward ones. Oh, not awkward, but it's just like right on the other side of the map. If there was only the 3 to get, it'd probably be quite a quick mission really. Sometimes these lanes get pretty rough as well. Yeah, doing what I'm doing now, you best off just cutting across to the grass. But it's pretty swampy over all this section, so kind of worth following the road a little bit. Because that's when I was thinking of bringing like possibly the twin steer instead of the ramped flatbed and kind of doing it that way. Yeah, the only thing that put me off in the end was, as you're doing a road train with both vehicles, it sort of has like an extra slow speed cap on the go, and as there's quite a lot of driving, like distance wise anyway, on this mission, I didn't want to risk it in the end. But it ended up being alright, you can see, kept a pretty good pace coming here, so it was not too bad. It's probably, well, not even like the last two pieces of garbage you've got to pick up. They're not in terrible places, it's more the roads nearby that are pretty roughed up. Bit of editing going on here. Basically, long story short, I drove up like level with it, tried to use the crane. I actually got the cargo to the back of the trailer, but it was just saying impossible to pack cargo, which is a goddamn lie. I don't know why. For a little while, again, it went pretty relaxed on what you could do, and then in the last, I don't know, month or so, it feels like it just keeps saying impossible to pack all the time. Which, coupled with the fact that the cranes are so weak, it's yeah, pretty bad idea. I wish they'd patch it, sort it out or something, because it just, when it's telling you it's impossible to pack, it's kind of like you're thinking, well, yeah, that's because your cranes are so shit. They can't reach the trailer properly, they're not lifting cargo up. It's kind of highlights a pretty bad aspect of the game, really, that they need to fix. So yeah, I just disconnected the trailer, reversed up alongside, did it the old-fashioned way, and then I was chilling a bit again. The old cat turned up. Ever since I put that blanket, that's what I even went looking for him earlier, because I hadn't seen him all night. I was like, bloody hell. Suddenly go from, oh, it's a nice peaceful night, to like, Jesus Christ, is he alright? But yeah, because he's got this blanket and this big box in the kitchen now, he fucking vanishes. I think he's a fan. Not sure what made that umbrella thing tip over. I noticed that when I was actually doing the mission. I didn't hit it. I don't even think I did my horn, if I remember correctly, which I normally do. I like to sneak up on various things scattered around the map. And again, even now, to be fair, I suppose I am doing quite a bit of like just cutting across the countryside in the straightest line possible instead of following the roads, and yeah, I didn't really have too much of an issue catching Bruce's chin. I remember one place there was, but it was kind of a bit of an obvious ditch, so it probably would have caught some of the vehicles out as well. It was close there to getting a bit of a tip on the go. Thankfully Bruce is pretty planted, even though I've got like it's got active suspension, so I've got that raised as well, which overall definitely helped with the chin since they added it. Had to kill a tree. It's one good thing, Bruce doesn't take any damage when you're running trees over. Yeah, this was the ditch. I was a little bit wishful thinking. I was kind of keeping it pinned, but I did see it, and I just kind of thought, well, I'll go flat out and see if I can kind of jump the gap before my my chin digs in. You see that trailer though, as soon as you want to reverse, it starts getting a bit sketchy. Kind of go on a little bit of an angle, drop the hammer, keep it pinned, let's scuff our way through there, and we're off. Which again, if you look even just to the left of me, if I'd gone that way, I think it would have been fine. I just kind of chose a bit of a bad spot. I can't see, I got stuck on something there. It feels like that tree stump was still a bit further ahead. I don't know, either way, I get worried when I get near the tree stumps, because they have a tendency, like, they'll go under your vehicle, and they'll often bump like under the first axle, but then they'll get stuck between your first and second axle, and then it really is a pain to get off them, because you can't really reverse anymore, you can't go forward anymore, and it's yeah, that's what I was worried was going to happen, but thankfully I got out of there pretty lightly. See, like, there's another ditch there, and I probably scuffed my bumper a bit as well. This goddamn horse, he kind of bumped against that tree I just went past, which saved me skidding down the hill just enough so I didn't like catch the side of the truck all along the tree and get wedged up. It's little things like that. He's always helping bring the mission home. And this was just, instead of like almost doubling back on myself really to connect back up to the roads, I am just kind of freestyling it across the map. Again, there's another little kind of obvious ditch section that it didn't have too much trouble with, and yeah, then just now connect back to this road. I'm surprised they didn't make one of the pieces of garbage like on the other side of this river just to make you have to go that way. See, some of these like grooves in the dirt roads, I'm not complaining about it. Again, I think it's kind of more organic as far as if it wants to slow me down. I'd rather get buried in a foot or two of mud than like an inch or two and it just dials it up to super death mud mode. But yeah, you can see there, I mean, it's swallowed like a good chunk of the tyres, so some of these roads can catch you out quite a lot. I still have flashbacks of when, yeah, the entire front corner of my P16 disappeared under the road. That only looked like a little dirt road like this as well. A couple of times getting my lean on a bit, but yeah, so far, touch wood, we got away with it. I was eyeballing it now with the camera because I want to just carry on straight, but I knew, I was like, oh, I bet I've drawn the lines like following the road along. So I'll swerve over this way, just, I don't know what it is. Got to get them waypoints, otherwise it messes the whole system up. Bit of random damage there, not really sure what from. For the most part, damage wasn't really an issue. I mean, again, I was going to take the goddamn horse on me regardless, but I knew if anything, fuel would probably be the one I might need towards the end, so it was definitely worth bringing a loaf. And even though I like wearing him on the truck like a hat, I could have always put him on the ramped flatbed. He'd still not need the room at the minute. Apologies, I think there's a little glitch going on there. Wasn't me editing. Oh, you probably missed like a second or two, but still. And then yeah, as we get to this section, this actually looked like, already thinking, oh god, this is going to be a right rough bit, but it actually wasn't that bad. The main thing is there's a rock or two to get caught on, but they've not put any stupid trees that are downed in this section, so they're the ones that really catch you out. There's a few on either side, but not actually like right in the middle of the road. I drove further past because what I was originally going to do was disconnect the trailer, reverse up alongside and load it onto the ramp flatbed. But down on my D-pad was being a dick, as the cat was also sat on the chair with me. I thought if I start smacking the remote, he just gets worried and runs off. So yeah, I was like, sod it, I'll just use the crane, I'll stack it on myself, and then yeah, fingers crossed in another 10-15 minutes, because the remote just chooses as and when it feels like down on the D-pad isn't going to work anymore. I'm kind of tempted to take the remote like apart, but at that point I don't know if it's ever going to make it back again. That is the thing. It's pretty easy to take things apart. It's putting them back together with no screws left. It seems to be the more difficult part. But you can see though, stacking the junk or whatever, what's it called, garbage, on the back, other than the only thing is they don't stack too well because they've got like that stupid bar in the middle, which actually is like a bit of a hitbox. But using the crane to kind of pinch it down, I have still got the winch connected at the minute, but there was various times driving where I didn't even have it connected and just the crane kind of clamping it down was working fine. Well, like, so I actually thought I stuck mostly to the roads, but as I'm watching this back, it's like, nope. Found every little shortcut going. It's a bit close to tipping there, steered into it though, we're all good. More random engine damage. Still got plenty of health on that though, so that's not really an issue. Kill one of these trees as we're squeezing past. And like, yeah, overall I was pretty happy with Bruce's efforts tonight. I've noticed as well the last week or two as I've been going through the missions, some of these contracts, not in a bad way, but they're getting longer. Yeah, that's what she said. Yeah, it's just like some of them you sort of look and they're pretty simple. Like I did it on the live stream, we're doing that cistern one after you get to the technical station or whatever it is, and then you got to go and get the first cistern, and then when you do the second one as well, it's Yeah, it's a pretty long mission, and this one's the same. I was looking through a few others. There's definitely not too many like sort of 10-15 minute contracts left anymore. So when we got to this one, yeah, instead of just faffing around, disconnect the trailer. I think as well, just before I got it, and then he got caught on another bloody tree stump, which, like I say, they stashed them in the long grass. And then yeah, stack the piece of garbage I already had onto the trailer. A little bit of editing there, but I just grabbed the final one, stacked it back on myself. You can see, yeah, it kind of sits like that, but it stays on pretty bloody well. Might be a possible thumbnail. Quite nice with all the custom paint job on Bruce. Just while I remember, sort of got as close to a matching loaf as I could. I think he's got just about the right colour orange, but not got the like the tribal stripy patterns going on. Yeah, you can see now though that garbage thing, it's bouncing along, but it's staying on there pretty well. And this is now where the roads start to get a bit on the rough side. Hence why I'm already kind of swerving off to the left. And sticking to the grass where I can. Because this section here can get pretty tippy, that's why I'm like following the grass verge along. I don't mind if my tyres sink quite a lot, but yeah, you normally sink like a lot deeper near that rock, so just bear that in mind, because yeah, well, you can even see now, just with the dips in the road, it was close. It's this section here. I hate crossing this section. It would be like a pretty nice section, but there's a few downed trees and like it's all the crap that they put in the way that, in my humble opinion, kind of ruins it all a bit, really. Which already now getting stuck on this tree, and yeah, it just feels like overkill a bit, because it's one of them where I don't know, you're driving along with a truck. I'm happy to cut across this section, but they just put stuff in the way that doesn't even feel natural. It's like, I'm pretty sure in real life a truck like this would snap that dead tree up on the floor, or if not, you just winch it out of the way and have done with it. And as you can see, I tipped over, but the goddamn horse, he jumped off at the last second. That stops the weight shifting, so I didn't tip all the way. That is one of the many reasons it gets so a loaf. So as usual, to send him in to save the day, give yourself a little nudge. And again, because the engine will be off at this point, I should imagine, you can see how well that garbage does stay on there, even when I was leaning over. But yeah, I'm still kind of back in the same situation where the tree line across the actual road is catching on my chassis, so I can't move anywhere. Then you got these stupid bits of wood here which are kind of like gone inside my tyre, and that's just sort of forcing me to drive along the direction they're pointing. And this is only the first half. I winched that tree over there, which I suppose is one of the times where it's quite handy that it is anchored in pretty well, but yeah, now I'm near enough going to have to drive over it. See, this quote unquote bridge, which is nothing more than like a crappy pallet that's breaking up. Yeah, this starts breaking up, so once you even hit that, it just starts moving and kind of locking you up some more. Grabbed a bush over there, which to its credit, it hung in there pretty well. I think it popped out in the end, but actually managed to get a bit of a pulling going on it. So at this point I just disconnected the trailer, because I believe the trailer is stuck on the first tree that I got stuck on. And then there wasn't really anything decent to winch to. I was just about to move the loaf ahead of me so I could use it as a mobile winch point, but as I was jiggling the tyres left and right, I was just about scuffing my way forward a little bit, so... So yeah, get them first tyres up, we're good to go. See, that's one nice thing with Bruce having 10 wheels, there's quite a lot of contact points, so you can usually find grip on at least one of the wheels. And like I say, particularly that tree that my trailer's stuck on now, if they just didn't put that there and you could actually drive across this river like a normal attempt, even though it's got a little bit of an awkward S-bend in and that wooden pallet in the middle and all sorts, but yeah, they just overkill it because it's mechanics within the game that beat the abilities of your vehicles, and not beat them like there's no skill set, there's no skill level, it's just like, yep, this is going to catch your vehicle and kind of mess your day up a bit. The old Lo4f, I think he did some kind of Tony Hawk's grind along that piece of wood. Yeah, a bit of editing here, but all I did, I ended up driving Bruce just out of this section. I drove the low forward, refueled Bruce, and then after a little meditation, bit of woosah, I reversed back up. Yeah, just kept grabbing the trailer from different winch points, to be honest, reversing, flooring it forward, and just trying to smash it over that piece of wood. Eventually got there. There was no real rhyme or reason to it. It just kind of, yeah, kept reversing and pulling it until something happened. Like I say, it's a bit of a crap section really. When I went through there the other week in worst vehicle in this as well, I couldn't handle the terrain as well. Was it the Western Star 49X? I think I went across there in, and that was a bit of a disaster as well. The Zix isn't too bad going over there because I believe like it's just got big enough tyres that it kind of rolls over those dead trees rather than catches them. But yeah, I've been over there in quite a few vehicles and it's just not a fun section. Yeah, speaking of which, that's the 49X. Yeah, because then I lost the footage, so then I had to go back and cross it again just to re-get the footage. Like, god damn it. It's one of the few places I don't really want to drive through once, let alone twice. But you can see now again with the normal, like, even though it's all boggy mud around here and that, I did stall there in high gear, but whatever, I was a bit slow to jump out of it. Yeah, Bruce is ticking along like quite nicely for the most part. Like, even though it's very close with his chin, but since they've given us that active suspension, that's just enough for 95% of the map anyway. And again, yeah, my advice would be just stick along this grass verge, because all that there is just needlessly boggy mud. It's probably not like death mud, but probably at least super mud. Getting the ability to kill trees is handy. It's an underrated ability. So be careful with this wooden bridge as well. I believe I got over it alright this time, but this has been a bit of a troll for me, because if you get one of your tyres in like the gaps between it, it will kind of force you off to the side. And was it that bridge in fact on yesterday's live stream? It might well have been, where I got completely, like, my tyre just kind of morphed into the wooden bridge and I was stuck for a little while. I'd say, yeah, it's the stuff that they put on the map afterwards that's kind of more awkward than the actual roads themselves. But anyway, we're on the home straight. It's been going well so far. Well, well enough. Could have been a lot worse. At least when I tipped over in that like awkward river crossing section, it wasn't enough to just flick everything off where I've got to like repack everything, especially because the crane is so weak. So that was nice. I probably saved 5 minutes of faffing around doing that. All day as well today, because I was messing around on the map earlier, probably when I went to grab the trailer and that, it's raining on my map at the minute, and yeah, even when I kept changing it to the middle of the day, it just doesn't feel bright enough on this map. I hope when they do this next phase that it's sunny, like properly bright and sunny. It's only a little detail, but I really don't like it. Every single time I do another video, it's like, god damn it. I've even tried like setting it to where you can do it like 6 AM and then it's pretty dark, but kind of waiting a little bit until it gets to 8 or 9 AM to see if that helps, but it just doesn't. See that sneaky tree stump on the inside. I'm gonna avoid that. I apologize, there's a little glitch there. It must have only been like a second again, but still, it picks its moment. Why can't it glitch the river crossing? Be careful along this bit as well. I didn't actually tip here, but it does get pretty boggy to one side on this section, so it's possible. The old loaf, goddamn professionally trying to overtake me. He's had enough of going this slow. It's like there as well, and gets its lean on a little bit. I mean, that's one nice thing with Bruce. He does sit nice and wide and low down, so obviously there can be an issue with the chin, but yeah, as far as being planted. Well, was that a Bruce as well? That's probably the last time I used Bruce on this map then. I must have drove here last time. What the hell did I do with the 49X then? Oh yeah, it was to get the solar panels, I think. Different yard. But anyway, yeah, finally get here, drop that off. 1, 2, 3, and then this is why I like stacking cargo on top of each other. It's pretty simple. Thankfully as well, it's not moany when you're packing cargo into the sideboard. It doesn't really matter what angle it's on, it just accepts it and just detonated the scrapyard's fence. Yeah, 15 grand odd for this mission as well, which is pretty decent all things considered. And then yeah, like I say, access to location and warehouse, but I think it's kind of one and the same thing, unless I'm mistaken. Yeah, vehicle spare parts, that's all it'll give you. It's the only lot of cargo. And yeah, that's another one in the bag. Possible thumbnail. Yeah, that's about it for today though. I hope you've enjoyed, I hope that helps. Thanks for watching, thanks to my Patreon members. Get yourself a loaf, because he is a goddamn professional. Speaking of which, I think I had to just go and get him quickly and stick them in the sideboard, even though these trucks will now just sit here for quite a while. But yeah, anyway, that's about it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.